We are having very aggressive plans for this year too. That is the current financial year. We are trying to take the total business of about 17,200 crores and record a profit of about 120 crores of net profit. I mean, incidentally, and some of the small weaknesses that the bank has on the NPA management front, we have already addressed. Last year, we were able to bring down the gross NPAs to about 2.6% or so, less than 3%, which is generally considered to be quite decent.
Presently, how many branches you have, and in this financial year, how many branches you are going to open?
Okay. We have 251 branches as of now, and 23 branches are planned to be opened all over the country. In Andhra Pradesh, we are going to open 8 branches. In fact, the largest number of branches in a year are going to be opened this year in Andhra Pradesh. The second highest contribution to the bank's business comes from Hyderabad region. And we expect this to grow, continue to grow, because we, in our view, Andhra Pradesh is one of the most progressive states today.
How is the growth of the private sector banks when contrasted with the public sector banks? How is the growth rate?
Today both private sector banks and the public sector banks are competing very actively with each other. It is very difficult to say whether private sector banks have done better or public sector banks have done better, because public sector also, a number of them have registered very, very good growth rates. But probably, I may not be totally correct, but then I feel the private sector has a greater degree of maneuverability on many issues compared to the public sector, and therefore maybe they are far more adaptive. They can quickly change over. Supposing they are slightly higher on the interest rates, they can bring down. And a lot of facilitation is there in private sector organization as compared to the public sector. I feel the private sector will grow at a slightly better rate than public sector system.
Finally, how is your home loan segment is doing? And some analysts saying that the prices of the real estate is not realistic at present. We should see a correction. Then only home loans will perform well. Do you agree with this kind of?
We have a very decent exposure to the housing sector, considering the size of our bank. And we have, of course, NPAs of about 4% or so. Considering the fact that there was a downturn and there was job losses and so on and so forth, this NPA figure itself is not very daunting. But we would like to contain it at some level. Real estate prices, they are subject to so many economic factors. As of now, it looks like the sector is stabilizing. And from whatever conversation I have with the real estate promoters, looks like the market is going to again be very, very favorable to them, which means that prices may start going up gradually. Whether it's a good sign or a bad sign, we really can't say now at this point in time, because employment avenues are being created, but job losses which were there in the past year may not be very quickly made up. So probably we'll be a little more cautious on lending to this sector for this year.